All right, good evening, everybody. Wanted to go over a little bit of pointers for all the fellow MGTOWs out there from my own perspective, from everything that I've learned, as well as my own philosophy of being a MGTOW. One of the things that a lot of people who, on the outside of this tend to always make the same mistake is that all was just people who are just either butthurt or people who are just collective who just like completely gave up or just don't want nothing to do with women, or just people who you know that just can't get a woman, or people who just don't meet the standards for women. Here's the thing about this. None of those things are true. Okay, none of those things are true. The direction of a MGTOW is a man who goes their own way, meaning they're not involved. If they choose not to involve themselves with marriage, then so be it. If they choose not to date, so be it. If they choose not to have kids, so be it. If they choose not to have anything to do with women at all and they just want to live their life and that's it, so be it. That's the direction of a MGTOW, a man who goes their own way. And there's a really good reason as to why we don't, go out and do what we usually do. It's not that most of us men don't want to. It's just that the corruption is a problem, okay? If that ain't bad enough, you got women out there who will, you got your gold diggers, your attention whores, you got your and ladies, I'm not saying all of you are like this, so please understand that, but you got to understand the side of you that does do that, the percentage of you of the females out there that does do that are giving you a bad name. So you should be just as pissed off at them as anybody else would be. My main reason as to why I'm saying this is quite simple. Let's dive into the attention whore. The attention whore is a female who is addicted for attention, pretty obvious, of not just one person but multiple people. A woman like this cannot settle down with one individual because she's too addicted to attention. What's going to happen when that person who she's dating, has to go to work? What do you think is going to happen? She's going to try to get that same attention from someone else. And honestly, I've spoke to some females about this, and they say that they technically get annoyed by women who do that, because like it's so it's such an intrusion behavior, because like they would do that same shit to guys who are already in a relationship with their friends. Females would do that to guys who are already in a relationship with their female friends, and it's a really fucked up thing, because like when a woman sees another woman doing that, she's going like, well, I see what the fuck you're doing. Much more, it wastes a lot of guys out there their time, because if instead of them wasting their time for a woman who's just interested in their attention and not looking for something more, but they're looking for something more, they could go out and try to find a female who actually is looking for something more, who is more suitable for them, and they'll be able to find something and make something out of that instead of just wasting their time. So understand, people only have one life to live, and wasting time like that is not a laughing matter. It's not. Giving someone's hopes up like that and toying with their emotions is not a laughing matter at all, in no way, shape, or form. For me, I made my choice not to get married because I saw it wasn't just the corruption of what most of those types of females were doing, but it was also the corruptiveness with the court system, the corruptiveness of many different things, how I could just shatter a person's life. It was just too much of a risk. And honestly, I've seen enough people literally have their lives completely destroyed by this, and a person who's wise enough and smart enough to see that, like that's how much of that is a big deal as that is. Like it really pushes you away from really wanting to do that. So what happens when I decided to live a life of just keeping to myself? Simple. They come after me instead. You want to know what? You want to know how they do it? They do it to the guys that are around them that are giving them that fucked up attention to get at the guys who they can't get, basically. So, long story short, these women do want us guys who are not paying them attention. They're fucking with the psyche of those guys who are giving them attention, and as a end result, they're coming towards our direction, messing with us and stupid stuff, very stupid stuff, and it gets worse when we're in a position to have to defend ourselves because they look at that as justified as we can be in the situations. Not saying that it can never be the other way around, but I'm just using this as an example. They'll use that as a means to act as if like they're playing hero, but in reality, their goals is something much more sinister. The only reason why they're doing that, whether the woman is justified or not, it doesn't really matter. In the end, the whole sole purpose as to why they're doing that is just to get closer to the female, hope out of some sheer hope that they're gonna get laid, that they're gonna get this, that, and the other thing, and that's all there is to it. A lot of these guys have spent a lot of money on these females, dude. A lot. Some of them have found out the hard way that it's just not worth it. And again, I repeat, I'm not saying that there are not good females. Ooh, excuse me. Out there, there are. Problem is, ladies, there's so many corrupted females messing with so many guys at one time that it's hard to find you all, it makes it very difficult. Again, I'm not saying that there aren't no good women out there. I'm not saying that ain't no women that can't actually, find it in their hearts to actually, make it, actually have a sustainable living environment with a man. That's not impossible. It is possible. If it was possible for that to happen in the past, it's possible for that to happen now. I'm always open to that, but I'm not finna just, allow myself to just open the door to destruction. I'm not finna do that for nobody, I'm not finna do that to myself, and I don't expect anybody else to do that, If you see something bad, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, you wouldn't invite that in your life. But unfortunately, we got a percentage of people, whether you are a man or a woman, regardless, who do. And this can be reflective on either side. You got some bad females to where some guys will just keep having that addiction where they keep ended up with the same type of female who are just fucking around with multiple different dudes at one time. Yeah, you can't be doing that because first off, she does not care about you. She only is interested in draining resources from you. And once the resources are gone, she's not going to have anything to deal with you anymore. Ladies, when you go out and you actually are expecting the guy to make the first move, you got to understand each time, if no one makes a move and you are just somehow miraculously expecting the guy to just know and do something, well, guess what? You're taking if you have interest in that guy, you're taking a pretty steep chance of nothing happening. So if you can't come out and literally speak your mind on how you feel, don't take it out on them. Don't get mad. Don't play these stupid mind games for people, okay? Because it's when you do that, it's when it drives them away. No one wants to go through that. Hell, even females themselves don't like going through that. But fortunately, that doesn't stop, the majority of them from doing that to us. Unfortunately, I'm just speaking the truth for what it is. I'm not here to pick sides or nothing like that. I'm not here to, play favorites and nothing like that. I'm just speaking with the utmost honesty from my own perspective as to what I've witnessed as I was growing up. But something, like the problem, here's the big problem. The problem is that we got attention whores out there. We got gold diggers out there. And it's not just the fact that they're out there. It's the fact that we have people feeding this behavior. The people who are feeding this behavior are the ones who will show up like on a live stream or something. Several different guys just giving all kinds of money to a single female who's just live streaming off a screen. A woman who's not gonna date them, a woman who's intentionally, you gotta understand the whole concept of honeypotting, right? The whole concept of honeypotting is a woman who will intentionally show a little bit of the goods, not the whole thing, but just a peak, just a peak to still tickle the imagination. You see, they'll dress in skimpy little outfits and stuff like that, all to put you in what I like to call the gullible phase. The gullible phase is when you start just taking chances that you really shouldn't be taking. You start just emptying your wallet a little bit at a time, and all of a sudden it starts adding up. And this happens with a lot of guys. There's plenty of women out there. I don't really see the benefit of paying a woman who's probably already dating a guy and banging a guy, you know, to pay all that money to her when you could just go find your other self. Well, I'm not saying to just go pay all that money. No. No. We still need to keep, despite that, we still need to keep stuff fair here, okay? When it comes to domestic violence, nobody should ever be putting their hands on nobody. Always keep your hands to yourself, except in self-defense. If you have to defend yourself, go right ahead. And that applies to anybody. I don't give a fuck what your damn gender is. That solely applies to anybody. If someone hits you, you hit them the fuck back. That's all it is. Now, I don't condone violence, but I do, and I have the utmost respect for self-defense. I have the utmost respect for self-defense. Everybody has the right to defend themselves, and I'm gonna go in depth for that so people understand. Anybody can just walk over to the side, grab a knife, and threaten somebody. Anybody can pick up a gun. I don't give a fuck what your gender is. Anybody can pick up a gun and threaten somebody, okay? Anybody can pick up any kind of weapon to threaten somebody. Anyone can. Doesn't matter what your gender is. You got the hands. You can pick something up and you can threaten somebody with that. I just want people to understand that. I'm not saying that people are or not doing that now, but I just want everybody to understand that that's the basis that we're on here. Understand how the bad situation is. Understand that a lot of people do have mental breakdowns. A lot of people have, and I'm going to give you an obvious example based off one of the women that I've dated, and this has caused me to not date women who have kids anymore. I'm not saying that there ain't women out there who do have kids that are not good women. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that from my past experience, I'm going by my experience alone here, that it's caused me to just not be interested in dating women with kids. And this is my prime example. Because of the bad apples out there, it's literally causing a lot of good men to strive away from the women out there who are good, And that's the main issue. Ladies, you got to understand. It's like finding you is like trying to find a damn diamond in the rut. It's like trying to find a damn needle in a haystack. It is not easy. It is not easy at all. We really do need to work out the court system because it seems like the demographic there is way too corruptive, as well as when it comes to men's rights being violated. And all kinds of stuff, man. It's too much of a risk. And honestly, the way I see it, I think that's their systematic, the corruptive order, what's the satanic bastards that are doing the shit that they're doing now. I think that was their whole plan to basically come up with more and more excuses to try to break the families up. Especially with the Section 8 thing. Like, they intentionally did this to break the families up. It wasn't the fact that nobody else was superior than anybody else. Look, man. Everybody has their strength and their weaknesses. Some of us are built for our own specific purposes, whether we are a man or a woman. Okay? And you're born the way that you're born. When it comes to that other stuff, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not even gonna, mention that. But what I mean by this, like, when you're born a female, you have your strengths. When you're born a man, you have your strengths. Don't let somebody just tell you that, well, just because someone's doing something else means that you need to feel inferior to that person in any way. No, look, again, we all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. That's just how it's always been since the beginning of time. I don't care who you are. You have your strengths and your weaknesses. That's it. The main thing you need to be concerned about is your strengths, and if you have any weaknesses, you need to be concerned about, well, what can I do to put infrastructure into my life to where I don't succumb to my weaknesses, but I can still be able to build up my strengths. But from what I've seen, it's this women who are out there who are constantly telling a woman like how inferior, like it's like they keep trying to build up rivalry between both men and women, which is building the falsified demographic to where it's bringing us to a point to where we're fighting each other, you know? And it don't even have to be like that, man. It don't have to fucking be like that at all. But when you got people out there who will just literally just pent you up like that, it causes unnecessary problems. It causes unnecessary conflict. And the stuff don't even have to be like that. The court systems don't have to freaking be fucking corruptive, but they are, unfortunately. You don't have to get married just to be with the person you love, you know? Marriage is not a necessity. That's a choice. Say, if you ever choose to have kids, understand that that's also a choice, you know, and a responsibility too. I want people to understand that when you bring a life into this world, when you help bring a life into this world, it is both the job of both the man and the woman who brought that life into this world to take care of it. Now, here's the main problem. If you look at the relationships from the past to now, people had the mentality to where, like, if there was a problem in a relationship, they didn't just break up the damn relationship based off that problem. No, they worked together and they fixed that damn problem. That's what they did. I've had like 3 relationships, and I've tried that, but like it's because of how bad the opposition is that didn't educate them in that kind of thinking, that it makes communicating with a partner very, very difficult on that level, you know, on that level of understanding. And it's not their fault. It's just the people they grew up around, you know. And that could even be for, I'm pretty sure there were some guys out there for you ladies who have ended up in the same situation. They didn't want to freaking settle things out. I mean, people cheat. People definitely cheat. Instead of working problems out, they'll just go out and cheat on you and go and fuck somebody else besides you, you know? And in worst case scenarios, like I'm telling you, like that can get very bad very quickly. A lot of people don't understand the consequences behind that. Let me tell you something. I mentioned this. Hang on. I mentioned this before, and I'm not gonna mention who this was or who their family is. Not related though, but it was a guy, right? He had a fiance. He wasn't married yet, right? And his fiance was pregnant, so she had an unborn child, right? Still in the womb. And this guy decides to go out and have a one night stand at some point in the process of while his fiance is still pregnant. Well, this guy had unprotected sex with that random female from that one night stand. You want to know what happened? And oh, by the way, I want people to definitely check out the videos that I have on my guide channel. about dangerous chemicals, because there are chemicals even in condoms that can increase the effects of cancer. And I bet a lot of people didn't know about that. And yes, it's fucked up as it is. That's a fact, man. You can check it out for yourself. You'll be able to find a video on the list. It's called Ingredients Lookout List Part 1 and Part 2. And then if you're curious as to what these weapons effects are onto those ingredients, you can just check that out in the third video, which would be you know, remote neural monitoring effects of ingredients in food, or it's something like that. But anyway, let me get back on track. Anyway, the guy, he had a one night stand with this random female, right? So he comes back home. Little does he know he's HIV positive. So after this happened, he sleeps with his wife naturally. Well, his fiance, not his wife, his fiance. And now she's infected. Because, you know, of course he's going to have unprotected sex with his pregnant fiance because, well, she's already pregnant. So now she's infected, and by her being infected and the baby still in the womb, now the unborn baby is infected. So this man, with that one mistake that he made, ended up infecting his whole family with the disease, with that shit, man. Normally I would just say a disease, but that's a man. A lot of people don't know that shit is man. That shit was man-made and intentionally put out there by the same satanic organization that has been sought to break apart the families and stuff like that, man. I'm all about trying to, you know, regulate a lot of stuff so that, you know, we don't have to be separated. But stuff's got to change, man. That damn court system has to be changed to where it's more fair towards you know, a lot more fair than it is, because it's just not fair towards men at all. It's not. I mean, literally having to give away like half your stuff like that, you know, it's just. Now I would understand, right? I would understand if both of you built that up and okay, well, that's, you know, splitting it up half and half. That makes sense. But you just coming into a relationship, you didn't put in the work to bring any of that up, right? And you're expecting to just get half of that? I mean, for what? Now, as I'm stating this applies to both sides, okay? This applies to both sides, not just one, but both. The same thing with the female. If you came in that relationship and she had worked for all that stuff that she has, and you came in between, not from the beginning to then well, I mean, you know, the same thing applies. You can't expect to get half of that. That's just unfair. Not to mention, you gotta understand, some people really treat people badly just because they don't have like a certain financial status. They don't have certain criteria as to what they want. And ladies, you gotta understand, your standards, man. Your standards are too high nowadays. They are too high, okay, and too unreasonable. And you gotta understand, the more and more people you keep passing off like that, those are potential partners that you could have been with today. And I'm speaking to the ones who are, you know, who are farther out in age now, who are not married, who have been single for so long. You got to understand, like, that's the case with that. So when you pass those people on and not give them a chance, I mean, it's not so much as a bad thing, like not dating so many people. That's fine. But you don't want to miss out on something nice that you may have liked. But at the same time, it's your life. It's your choice. If you don't want to be in a relationship, that's fine. If you do, well, you would have to take certain precautions with that, and certain, you know, take more hold of the situation, and not, you know, cheat yourself out of something that, you know, of what could have been. Now, one thing that needs to be understood, nobody, whether you're a man or a woman, nobody is perfect, okay? Nobody is. There is no such thing as the perfect man. There is no such thing as the perfect woman. There isn't. Everybody has their flaws, but you see, it's those flaws that we have that allow us to grow. We learn from our mistakes and we make up for them by learning different methods to dealing with them so that our mistakes are not repeated. Hence, when it comes to a relationship between both a man and a woman, right? And they have a child, whatever missteps happen, it's the same cycle. You find methods to deal with the narrative of the problem, what's going on, so you can move on and, and actually be able to grow together as a family. That's what that's supposed to be. That's how it's always should have been. But unfortunately, when the government decided to invade their way, worm their way into the families, they decided to definitely screw a lot of stuff up to where a lot of people just started forgetting a lot of the stuff of the traditional ways of how relationships were going. You know, marriage never really was a necessity. It was really something that was, established amongst like nobility and stuff like that from the past. And then eventually it just got developed into the norm amongst the common folk. But the thing is, when the common folk did it, right, in the past, there was no diamond involved, there was no money involved, nothing like that, People gathered in joy at the sight of people who just wanted to spend their entire lives together. It was no money that was needed. The only thing that mattered was their love for one another. That's it. That's all that mattered. They wanted to be in each other's lives because they wanted to be able to experience the whatever life they had left with that person that they were so fond of. So understand, when you like a person, ladies, when you like a person and you don't speak up, understand that you're running the risk of another woman taking that man from you. And the fact that that man will never even know what your true feelings are. There's a lot of confusion out there, but understand that also peer pressure is not just a particular gender's greatest enemy, but peer pressure is everyone's greatest enemy. Why? I always say this, and I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. Peer pressure is a attempt at a manipulative attempt at kind of like hypnosis, but in a way to where it's meant to convert a person into something or into a narrative of what the collective group wants to be fitted into that group, something that they want you to be constructed into. And therefore, by doing so, they strip away who you originally were. You got to understand, when you cast away your true self, who do you think the person that you're dating is getting to know? Really think about that. Who the person that you're dating, either now or in the past, or many people you've dated since you succumbed, or if you succumbed to peer pressure, you need to understand, once you succumb to that, the person, anybody, whoever you've dated in the past and whoever you dated now, they don't get to know the real you because of that. They get to know a false you, the you that they created that fits into their narrative. Do you think that person stands a greater chance at being with that individual that you're dating instead of your true self? Or do you think your true self would have stood much of a greater chance at making things work than your fabricated self? I really want people to process that and really think about that, And the same thing applies to both men too. Don't think differently about that. It applies to us too. For me though, for my decision, I've made my decision to where like I would never get married. I would not have kids, and it's not that I just like the idea of doing that. It's just that there's just too much chaos out there, too much corruption, and I can protect my family, right? I can protect my kids. I can literally teach them everything right and wrong that I was taught, and the wisdom that it was given to me, that was passed down to me as I was growing up. I could do that. Problem is, this world is just too damn corruptive and too damn destructive, and I don't think I would ever forgive myself if brought life into a world like this. I don't think I could ever forgive myself for something like that. Have to worry about them whenever I would have to worry about my kids every time they go to school, knowing how bad stuff is going on out there. You got kids bringing guns to the schools. You got kids literally getting hit, literally drive-bys going on, and then people just fighting amongst each other. You even had them like getting hit on the side as a result of the crime. And in the end, it still points towards the enemy, which is the bastards who are bringing the drugs and the stuff in the country through the ships and the planes. It's the people who are allowing the stuff to be shipped here that are the problem. But too many people don't see that, Too many people are being paid off, and it's just not something that I would ever want to settle down with, especially with me being a targeted individual as well. That makes the situation even more weird, crazy, because now I would not want to submit a female who I would develop feelings for onto the torturism that I'm going through. Now don't get me wrong. It's not like they would never send a female towards my direction, you know, just because of me being a target individual. No, they have done that twice, in fact. Probably more than twice, but I probably didn't realize it any other times. But the long story short, I would not want to submit a woman through that because I already know how severe it is. You see, I'm tough, I'm strong, and I'm literally tough as steel. I can defend myself quite easily from this as best as I can to the best of my ability. But when it comes to a relationship, I mean, if you're working, you're not around. If you got to go on a supply run, you're not around unless they go with you. But at the same time, if when there's nobody around to watch anything, there's no telling what's gonna happen, what's gonna go down. There's just no telling. I don't know what many other people plan on doing. Many other single individuals out there plan on doing with their lives, but I know what I've already made my decision. I don't think I would end up in another relationship at this point. But then again, I can't say that that's the general narrative. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. You never know. But I know that I'm never going to have kids in a life like this. I'm not going to settle down. I might settle down, but not go as far as getting married or getting myself involved with the corruptive nature of the system that's out there. You got to understand, it's the system that's corruptive and the people running the system. Everyone needs to understand that when it comes to something good going towards you, whenever anything good goes towards the people, it's going to be even better for the people who are pushing for it. Meaning the people who are pushing for it in Congress and in office are going to get a much bigger payout in doing it as an example. I want people to understand that. The end result as to why so much corruption is going towards both men in a way, and why a lot of corruptive support is being sent towards women. And yes, I call it corruptive support because you got to understand. Even if it's helping you out, you got to understand. It's not the fact that you have it. It's the fact of what it's doing. Not the fact that it's satisfying you. Not the fact that it's giving putting you in a state of relief. No, that's not it. It's the psyche. It's the psychic evaluation that it does to your mental state over time. That's their end goal. When women get into a state of mind to where they tell themselves they don't need a man, but at the same time, I mean, us guys are paying taxes that are actually funding this stuff. Section 8s, freaking, child support. That's still, financial help coming from a man. So when they say that they don't need a man, that I mean they're basically going against what they're saying because, well, If you don't need a man, you wouldn't even be using those services in the first place. But I want people to understand those services, even though they help, they're there as the construct, meaning to deceive both sides. It's not playing favorites. It's meant to deceive both sides. I could ramble on even a bit more here, but I'm gonna probably leave this as my Migtow philosophy part one. But everybody needs to understand though, the situation with this system has gotten so dangerous and so corruptive that there are men out there who don't even want nothing to do, and it's no different than myself really, who want absolutely nothing to do with relationships, nothing to do with settling down, especially nothing to do with getting married or anything like that. Now, I'm not saying that has to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be a good thing. It's not that matters. It's the fact of what people make of it that matters. Meaning their intentions for the marriage, for the arrangements and all that stuff of what it's tended to. That's what counts, and that's where things, you know, make a determined change as to whether it's going to be something good or something bad. This is MM. I'm over and out.